Linda Murphy here again. Today I'd like to talk about another tool for us to put into our empowerment toolkits. This one I think is a biggie. I call it letting go. I learned this on my journey and it has been so helpful. What am I letting go of? I realized I had been holding on to so many things in my life that has happened in the past. Things that I just wouldn't let go. Situations that happened that sometimes my mind just kept on going back to and all this. And it's like, oh my gosh, maybe I didn't do something. Maybe I did something that wasn't that nice to somebody. And sometimes that would come back to haunt me. Maybe somebody did things that were not nice to me, and that would haunt me. I had, enough situations, as we all do, that it was just kind of being stuffed inside of my body. And part of my healing journey was I realized that I had to let go of these things that I had been stuffing in my body. And I had quite a few stories, quite a few things that I was holding on to, as I'm sure all of us do. And it's like, this is not healthy for me. The cells in my body do not want this. So I needed to figure out how to learn to let go. And the mentor that I was referencing earlier on, she helped me learn so many different techniques. And this is my letting go technique. One of the things I learned to do was auto write. And when you auto write, you get a pen, paper, you just put it down in front of you, and quite often I wouldn't even know what was going on in my body. I would just feel my body bubbling up with something. I couldn't quite identify it. I wasn't feeling real good. I was feeling antsy, what was going on. And I said, all right, I need to auto write. So when I start my auto writing, I don't know what's going to come up. So I usually address it to God, the universe, whatever, and say, dear universe, dear God, I don't know why I'm writing this, but I'm writing these words on this piece of paper. And I'd like to try to figure out what's bubbling up inside of me. What do I need to do? What is happening in me that I need to get out, to let go? And I'll keep on writing, and the words might not make any sense to me. Whatever comes to my mind is what I write. If the sky is blue comes to my mind, that's what I write. If the grass is green that comes to my mind, that's what I write. I just keep on writing all these different things. And as I'm writing, and I often write very, very fast, and also, I can't even go back and reread my words. That's how fast it is. But that's okay. You don't have to go back to reread. You're just getting things out of your body onto a piece of paper. That's the whole thing, onto this piece of paper. So I would write many pages worth. And I'm writing and writing and writing. Things are coming up in my mind. And then all of a sudden I start getting into a little bit of the crux of what might be bubbling up inside of me. What's aggravating me? What's going on? What do I need to get rid of? So things would start coming up as a result of my writing. And I just kept on writing and writing and writing, whatever it was. Like I said, I never went back to reread anything because I couldn't. It was written so fast and so messy. But it was just the fact that I was getting it from my body, from my hands, paper, pen. It was out on a piece of paper. And then when my body started feeling, I knew I was finished with my writing. And I had all these pages of stuff in front of me. And most times I was able to, through my writing, understand what was bothering me, whatever the situations were. And I see this paper in front of me. What am I going to do with it? So this is what I was taught to do, and I found it to be very, very helpful. If this was something that was particularly recurring for me or whatever, the situation that came up that's now on paper, I needed to get out of my body and have it done. So I'd get this piece of paper, or papers, I'd rip it up, all those papers, I'd pile them together, rip them up, put them in a bowl, and I would bring the bowl outside. I always use a bowl that is flame proof, that is oven proof or whatever, because I was going to set these papers on fire, and I did every single time. I chose to have them in a bowl because it was contained and I was able to contain the fire. Whatever it is that you know you can set fire to and the bowl's not going to burn up, So I would do that. This is a ritual I went through. So I would put the pieces of paper, put the fire to the paper, and the paper would just go up in smoke, and it turns into ashes, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That's what was always going through my head. And then I would dig a hole in the dirt in my backyard, and I would dump those ashes into the dirt, and I would say a little prayer. I asked God to take care of my thoughts, take them away from me. I no longer needed them. I asked Mother Nature, since that's where the ashes went to, I asked Mother Nature to please take care of those thoughts. I no longer needed them. And that was kind of my little prayer. And then I always felt freer as a result, lighter, because whatever was bubbling up inside of me went onto this piece of paper, went up in smoke, went into the earth. So I used that technique a lot because as I was healing, I was going down my journey, there's a lot of things that started coming up in my life that I had always shoved to the back of my head, the back of my body or whatever. And it's like, I'm done with shoving it in the back of my body. I'm not doing this anymore. It's coming out. And I had to deal with these thoughts that were recurring, and I had to put an end to it. I had to put an end to the constant repetition of these situations coming up. So that was one of my techniques, which I said I used it quite often. Another technique that I used is if I was able to identify what those recurring thoughts were, and those recurring thoughts, troubled my body and it just didn't feel good, or maybe my gut was kind of wrenching from it, whatever, and I could put a name to it, I bought helium balloons. I decided to buy different colors for different issues that were coming up or whatever. And the helium balloons, I put ribbons. I had them attach ribbons to it. And I'd bring those helium balloons home. And I would write on the helium balloon the issues I wanted to get rid of. Whatever was bubbling up in my body. Sometimes it was 1 balloon, 2 balloons, 3 balloons. Sometimes I had a lot of balloons. And I labeled each one of the balloons. I said a prayer. I asked God, universe, source, to please take care of these thoughts. I no longer want them in my body. I'm taking them out of my body, and I'm giving them to you, God. So that was basically my prayer. I went in the backyard. No one was ever home when I did this, so I never looked weird to anyone. And I just let go of the balloons, and it was such a wonderful feeling of release as I watched the balloons go into the universe, into the heavens. And I felt a lightness in my body as a result of letting go. And sometimes those thoughts that I had labeled on the balloon would come back to me again. I say, okay, I didn't get rid of them, did I? I'd repeat that process with the balloons because I really love the releasing with the balloons. It just felt very cathartic to me. So I would do that, and that was an awesome way for me to let go. The main thing was getting that out of my body. I could feel the release of it in the cells of my body out to the universe, and not to come back. And very, very powerful tools. Strongly recommend it if this is a pathway that you want to go down to release some things. So stay tuned. I'll have more tools coming down the pike. Until then, we'll see you later.